Hey everyone, welcome back to Unicorn Dust Designs. Today I wanted to say thank you to June's Journey for sponsoring a portion of today's video, and I also wanted to thank you guys because without you guys I wouldn't get opportunities like this. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into these thrift flips.
Okay, this is probably my favorite, you guys. So I got this toolbox at Lewisburg Market Street. It was $9. However, I love the color of it. Somebody totally spray painted it once upon a time. But it had these M's spray painted gold on them. And then on one side was this duct tape that I could not get off. So I'm going to take the bottom half of the toolbox and I'm going to paint it white. I'm not going to do the top. I'm not going to do the lock. Not going to do the bottom or inside. Just the bottom half. I'm going to do 2 coats of the white. And then I'm going to grab the butterfly masterboard decoupage paper. I'm going to figure out what piece of the board that I want. And then, as I usually do, I'm going to press down on the surface so that I can gauge where I need to cut. I like doing it this way because I am frugal, you guys, and I ain't wasting any of this paper. I want to keep as much of it as I can. So you could see I'm pushing with what little nails I have down around that lock because I want to cut that section out as well. Once I cut that out, we're going to lay it on top. Again, I'm taking my liquid patina. It's a crystal clear chandelier liquid patina. That's what it says on the website. And you can see there's a little piece of white showing on the left side of the lock, but we will fix that. I am going to spritz my entire page. I already did that with water. Then I take that liquid patina, put it on my surface, wipe the excess over the paper. You will never see me dip back in when I go over the paper. So you see that layer and then I push it down. And y'all, I swear to you, the water technique, spritzing your paper with water has been a game changer. I do not get any wrinkles, any bubbles. And I've told you many times, I am not a master at decoupage paper, but I mean, the paper makes it just so easy for you. Now, that little spot, I just grab a little bit of scrap paper and then I'm going to put that liquid patina right there and it looks like it was a part of the paper. Like you do not even notice at all. So I'll put another layer of that liquid patina over my paper and then I'm going to move on to the side. Sorry, your close up. See, that's where the duct tape was. So for this one, I wrapped that decoupage paper just a little bit around my corner, the decoupage paper in the front. Then I wanted to make the butterfly look like it was wrapping around and that the page carried on. So I do the same thing. I spritzed my paper, liquid patina on the back and then the front, and it looks flawless, you guys. The connection of the butterfly, I just overlapped them a tiny bit. Then I'm just going to repeat the same process on the back, y'all. I'm going to cut my piece out. I'm going to lay it on the back of the toolbox, and then I'm going to spritz it with some water. And what's nice about these papers too is they have some give. So you could kind of like pull them when they're wet and you can relift them if you need to. They are thin, but they're not thin like a napkin that's going to tear on you. So after spritzing it, again, I put that layer on the bottom, lay my paper back down, and then I'm going to smooth it out. I love doing my decoupage with these brushes. I get them at Walmart. All right, now I'm just going to take that finger sander, go in downward motions to get all of that excess paper off the bottom. And y'all, we are done. Oh my word. Is this not the most gorgeous thing? I told John, I said, I wish I could keep everything because y'all know I love books. I love the whole display. I love the color combo and how that teal wraps into the decoupage paper. I believe everything that I show you in today's video is going to be listed on my website. I say maybe because I really want to keep a lot of this stuff. I am a color girl, y'all, and I am not afraid to dabble in color, play around, mix things together. And this was one of those things that I didn't know if I was going to be able to do. And then when I pulled it off, I was like, yes, ma'am.
Anytime that I need to step away from a project before I, chuck it in the trash, I take a moment, I hop on my phone, and I click on June's Journey. June's Journey is such a fun, interactive murder mystery game that's set in the 1920s. So y'all know I love my vintage finds. So the scenes are like super vintage, like I said, 1920s. They're so much fun to dive into. And June is basically trying to find who murdered her sister. And every scene is so different and so fun. And when you're not actually wanting to go into the hidden mystery games, you can go on your main screen and you can remodel your mansion and your garden island as well, which is so much fun to do. I love it. Mine is like completely full at this point. So June's Journey is a free to download mobile game, and you can download June's Journey for free by clicking the link in my description box or the QR code that you see on the screen. You guys make sure to click from my video so they know that I sent you. And June's Journey is available on Android, iOS, and through your PC on Facebook Games. So make sure that you click the link below. Like I said, you guys, I have so much fun playing this game. It's so relaxing, and it's just like the pictures are so vibrant. I know that you guys will be obsessed with it. So go down in the description box, click that link, and then let me know how you are enjoying the game. Now let's get back into our thrift list.
This is a little crate table that I got at Turnstiles for $6.99. It was handmade, so it's not like the cheapy crates. Like the wood is nice and thick, and then the top, somebody put like an MDF top on. So we're gonna use the owl decoupage paper that I just showed, and it has so many beautiful colors in it, but the color that stood out and spoke to me the most was the pink in it. So I'm gonna take Kissing Booth, and I am going to do one coat around the entire table. Then, you guys, I tried using my old Waverly paint, and it was so thick, like thick. So I ended up getting my sponge roller that I use on my wood rounds, and I put a base coat. The white is going to, one, help your decoupage paper pop, and two, I also used it kind of as a primer for that MDF, because I knew if I put the liquid patina directly onto that MDF, it was just going to suck it up. So next I'm going to lay my decoupage paper over the table. I'm using that smoothie brush. I told you guys about this in the last video. If you are decoupage people, this brush is amazing. So I put that liquid patina on my table, then I spritz my paper and then smooth down the paper with whatever is remaining on my brush. Now I will note, I don't know if it was because the tabletop was MDF or what, but spritzing the paper was not working for me. And I tell you guys in every video that spritzing my paper has been life-changing as far as keeping the wrinkles minimal. But for whatever reason, I felt like it was causing me more wrinkles. So again, I don't know if that had something to do with the MDF, but I continued to go down the table in sections. I end up stopping the water, and I was able to get a smoother finish that way. So to each their own, maybe it just depends on the project you're working on. But remember as well, with recycled decoupage papers, you can keep lifting and then reapplying. You could even kind of like stretch it a little bit, like pull it a little bit. It's thin, but it's durable. And that's what I like about it. Because there was places I saw wrinkles. I just got, you could see right there. I'm like lifting it, smoothing it back out. Once that was dry, I took my sanding block and downward motions on just the edges. I'm going to sand the excess paper off. To clear it, I'm not using liquid patina. I'm going to use Big Top. Big Top is a water-based clear coat, and it's more like a varnish, which is what we want on a tabletop. So I'm going to actually put 2 coats. I might go back and do 3 just in case, because I'm like, this is paper. It is MDF under here. So I want it as durable as I can get it. And I'm going to make sure to hit those sides so we don't have any white cloudy drops hanging there. But this was such an easy flip, you guys. I paid $6.99 for this table. It was such a fun piece, and I loved that it's not like in your face. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a big wall mural or anything. Like, it's just like subtle, like beautiful chaos. I don't know. I'm totally digging it. What do you guys think about this owl decoupage papers? Look at all of those beautiful colors that are in here. This piece definitely made me so very happy. Per usual, we're gonna start off with something simple. I got this at a garage sale for like a couple dollars. Totally thought that was rust, you guys. It's definitely food or something. This had to have been up on like a shelf in a kitchen because it was so greasy. So I'm gonna clean all of this up off of camera, and I'm gonna grab the Queen Bee Roycycle Decoupage paper that I am now carrying on my website. And right away when I saw this tray, I was like, this is gonna fit perfectly. But y'all, I'm cheap, okay? And although I sell it and I could get multiples of it, I want to save every last scrap of this I can. So I wanted to try and not cut onto that crown because I didn't want to waste the image, you know? So I was working every way of like, how can I do this? But I ended up having to cut just a tad bit off of the bottom of the crown. But you guys know I'm cheap. Or I'm frugal, that's what I'll say. So I ended up putting the paper upside down and then flipping my tray over, and all I'm doing is tracing it with a pencil. Now, I like to leave a little bit of room around my trace line just because I rather have a little bit more extra paper than not enough to cover my surface. So this lined up absolutely amazing. I am going to grab, for whatever reason, I was using Big Top on the first 2 projects when I have my decoupage medium, which is liquid patina, but you know, I guess just use whatever is near you. And now you know that Big Top works as a decoupage medium too. So in full disclosure, I am not a pro at decoupage paper. I'm probably just as new as some of you that are wanting to get into it as well. So we will learn together. So I am taking a synthetic brush and I am coating the bottom, and then whatever is left on that brush, I go ahead and I push that paper down with the excess of it. And I'm going to do this in small sections instead of swiping all of it on at once and laying my sheet down. This will give me less wrinkles. And the Roycycle papers are so easy to work with. They're strong, they're beautiful, they're thin. Perfecto. All right. So now that that's all dried, I'm taking my finger sander and I'm going in downward motions to get all of that excess paper off. Then I'm going to go back on with the Big Top and put a clear coat to make sure all of my decoupage paper is there, that the sides are nice and down and there's no frays, and that's it, you guys. I wish I could have given you a better picture of like it as a tray, but I didn't have any room big enough that was clean. But you can see how perfectly this fits onto this tray or riser, and the black and the white, and then it does have a black base, and this will, I think, be available on my website for purchase if I don't keep it for myself. Comment with a B if you love it. We're going to use the new fall catalog page, and oh my gosh, what endless amounts of projects you can do with this one sheet of decoupage paper. I'm going to take this as a random piece of scrap wood. I think it is like maybe a 2x8, and I am going to place that over my decoupage paper, making sure to focus my birds towards the top because I am going to put a trimming piece on the bottom. I trace that out and then I cut it. Then I'm just kind of showing you all the different ways you can kind of like use this paper. Like that would fit perfectly on a 2x4. So options are endless here. All right, so for the front of my piece of wood, I am going to go ahead and paint the entire thing with white swan so that my paper really pops. Now, something I learned from Roy Cycled was using stamps underneath your decoupage paper. So I'm getting the crackle stamp from IOD and I'm going to put that over my paint. Now, when I lay my decoupage paper on there, you're gonna see that coming through the paper. I thought this was such a great idea because like we could have added butterfly stamps, anything. So as I did in the beginning, I am taking a little bit of, I'm still using Big Top on this one and doing it in small sections, pushing down with any of my remnants. And you could see how easy that was to kind of lift up again and then start over. Now, as I put this down, you can already see the crackle stamp coming through that paper. And now it just looks a little bit more aged, which was what I was going for. But like I said, I mean, you can use any of the stamps and add your own twist on these papers too, which is really exciting. Now, after I'm done with that, I get all of the excess paper off and then I will put another top coat over our decoupage paper. I'm going to grab letterpress and I'm going to grab my salt wash. I'm going to mix that up because I want this tile block to almost look like it was a pavement stone or I don't know, a brick or something like that. So with my chippy brush, I just am going to stipple that on. You could already see all of that texture. And what you create with your salt wash, that's exactly how it's going to dry down. It will not flatten down like baking soda would. It creates these beautiful peaks and ridges, and I mean, possibilities are endless. So I keep on saying possibilities are endless, but they really are. So I do this to all the sides and the back, and for the bottom, I just paint it with letterpress because I don't want any of that texture on the bottom. And doesn't this color, the letterpress, dry down to look so much like cement? Mwah, chef's kiss. Okay, now I'm going to take out my trimmings molds, my amazing resin, which cures in 10 minutes. And whenever I bring out my resin, I just pour extra stuff to put in my desk. I was trying to use the rest of this bottle, so I just started pouring. Please use gloves. I have absolutely none right now at my house, so just do as I say, not as I do. But I'm going to mix a bunch of them. Now I'm going to take, came from the sunflower mold, and I'm going to use, I started out with Fancy Farm Girl, and then I switched it over on the second coat to Monet's Garden. But y'all, I give all the IOD people that hand paint their molds like with beautiful detail so much props because I only used 2 colors on this thing. And it took so much time to be very precise and detailed and not to get the paint like on I could not imagine doing this over and over again. Maybe when like my kids are grown and they don't come over anymore. I don't know. So I popped my trimming mold out before it was all the way cured. And I did that because I wanted to be able to take my craft knife and easily cut whatever excess off that I wanted to. So don't let it, see how it's like still bendable and pliable? That's what I was going for. So I am just measuring this on the bottom, cutting it down to the size that I wanted it to, and then it'll come right off. Going back to our mold, I am taking Kissing Booth. There was like this pinkish red color in the florals on this paper, and I wanted to bring that out with this beautiful Kissing Booth color. For the trimming, I'm taking Liquid Sunshine. The birds had this really bright yellow in their wings and their feathers, and I wanted to bring that out of the page as well. So after I'm done painting, I clear everything with Big Top. This is going to deepen the color of the DIY paints. And keep in mind, y'all, all the DIY paint products I'm using you can find on my website, unicorndustdesigns.com, as well as the papers, obvi. Now I am taking black wax, and black wax isn't a wax that I use very often, but there was a bunch of black outlining in the paper. And again, I'm kind of going with the paper here. So I put that on, I wipe it back with a paper towel. And because I put that Big Top on first, it makes wiping back the wax super easy. And you could see how it just settles into all of the details, really makes everything pop. Now I'm going to take my Titebond wood glue and we are going to attach our pieces. I like to use a paintbrush. I don't like the feeling on my finger of this wood glue. So I just take a paintbrush, make sure it gets everywhere it needs to, and I'm going to have that coming off the top. And you can see how it pulls that little pink right there. And then I'm going to do the same for the trimming molds. And I'm going to put that on the bottom of our tile block. And you guys, this turned out so pretty. If you are a reseller, these are going to be great items to put in your booth or on your website. They make beautiful gifts. And I think we're going to do, because I have another piece of wood, we're going to do another one of these on the live for Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Central. I look at all of those details and how that looks like a stone. Look at the detail. Look at the crackle coming through. Oh my word. This paper couldn't get any prettier. The molds couldn't either. Comment down below with a bird if you are going to try this tile piece out. I gotta tell you, I was so inspired by her tiles. You need to watch her video. I'm going to use the red rooster decoupage paper, and this is stunning. It almost looks like an old advertisement, kind of like an old receipt. There's so much going on in this piece of paper and so many different elements that you can cut off and use for different projects. But I'm going to take this glass decorative window. A gal, Lori, here local to me, she sold me all of this home decor stuff for like $1 each, and this was in there, and this thing is like heavy duty. So I'm trying to find the placement, what I want to do with it. I end up taking this apart and realizing there's 2 pieces of glass in here. So if somebody buys this and a year from now they're not into roosters, they can literally pop the decorative rooster piece off that I do and replace it with a different piece of art. So I'm going to take this back piece off. We're going to thoroughly clean it. Then I'm going to take the decoupage paper. I laid the glass pane on there, traced it, and then we're cutting it out. With any of my excess papers, I just fold it up and stick it in a bag. The lines, when you fold it, come out so easy with this paper that I'm not even worried about the fold lines whatsoever. So I laid the decoupage paper onto the window pane. That way I could really see what it looks like as I'm ripping parts of the pages out. And all I'm doing is taking a paintbrush with some water on it and going in random shapes, forms, I don't know, spots, because I want this to look almost like a worn old advertisement page. So you can see there's no rhyme or reason for what I'm doing. I'm just going with the flow and hoping it all looks good after I'm done. I even like take out like a big chunk in the middle. So just have fun with it. Maybe less is more for you, but I was like more. All right. So now I'm going to take my smoothie brush, and please tell me why I've never used a smoothie brush for decoupaging, because it makes the work so easy. So I'm taking the brush, and then I learned also from watching Royd Cycled is she spritzes her decoupage paper with water. And please tell me, you know the things that you've seen a million times and it takes you forever to try it? Because this really cuts back on the wrinkles, like a lot. So again, doing this in sections, I go on the glass itself, I spritz that section with water, and then I push it down with my smoothie brush. The width of this brush made this project so easy to do. And I'm going to keep repeating that process as we go up. Now, there was, I think, like 2 harsh lines that I created kind of like in the middle of this. But other than that, I really did not get any wrinkles on this piece. So once that is semi-dry, this first layer, I'm gonna go back over it with the Decoupage Medium Liquid Patina. That's what I'm using on this project. And I'll go back over it, and then I'm gonna let it completely, or not complete, I let the paper dry. No, I don't. So what I'm doing is I put that on, and then I had saw the Serendipity gal, when she does paint inlays with a clear medium, she takes rubbing alcohol. And that rubbing alcohol, she will rub on the glass to get all of that like film off. And that's what I did here. I just took a microfiber cloth, 90% or something alcohol, and I'm buffing that liquid patina off of my glass so that it's crystal clear again. Now I'm just going to paint the frame. So I'm using Little Black Dress, painted that, and then I'm dry brushing Marquee on there. Like you could hardly even see it. That's how light of a coat. I just want it to look like a little bit of chippy paint, not much. And then I'm going to clear and seal our paint with the Big Top. This is also going to deepen your color. You can also use black wax, which I'm kind of like, oh, why didn't I think of that when I was doing it? But we're gonna take this outside now, actually the decoupage part. This is completely dry. I'm gonna take the Mirror Effect spray paint, right here, and we are gonna give this one coat, focusing on the glass parts, obviously, that we ripped out. Now, you can even do paint. You don't even have to do the mirror effect. You can dab on different color paints, whatever. And it starts drying right away. You can see on the right, it's already starting to mirror. You could do several coats, but I only do one. Now, I've done this on my channel before, and previously I used vinegar to distress the mirror effect. However, I was like, you know what? I wonder if nail polish remover will be easier to use, because the vinegar, you had some elbow grease. So you can see that was my first spot trying the nail polish remover. And I thought I was going to have to push really hard, but all you had to do was dab it, and it was starting to take off that mirror effect, which is exactly what I wanted. Now I'm going to go in with the Metallic Gold by Rust-Oleum, spray over that, let it completely dry, and then I'm going to pop it back into my window frame, and it's going to be done. This turned out really pretty. I was happy with the rippage of the paper and how it looked. I definitely think I got the old, like, what do you call it? The old antique look. And there's still so much of that paper and for your eye to look at. So I hope you guys enjoyed these decoupage DIYs. Please make sure to look down below to see who joined Try It Tuesday this month. And again, all of the products are available on my website, unicorndustdesigns.com. Oh, I love this. This looks so good, you guys. You can really see like the gold popping through, looks like an old mirror, and then the paper. Yes, ma'am. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. We're going to start off with a Dollar Tree tag, and this one is actually probably the larger out of all of them. Not sure if they have them in right now because this is from my hoard and I've had it forever. So I'm going to flip it on around to the back. I'm going to use White Swan, and I'm just going to do one coat to fully cover the tag. I'm going to go ahead and put it face down on some shipping paper, trace this out, and usually what I would do if I had my cutting mat under it is just glue it to the paper and then use a craft knife to cut out around it, and it's so much easier. However, we did not have that, so we just cut it out, and then we are going to glue this to the back so that our project looks nice and finished. And if you hear children in the background screaming, it's a part of my life. All right, we are going to use this beautiful Roycycle Decoupage paper. I have about, I think, 6 in stock. I will order more, but snatch yours now. I love how big this tag was because it fit so much of like the main part of this image on there. It was absolute perfection. So once I figured out where I wanted this to be, I'm going to go ahead and get my scissors and just cut around the image, trying not to cut, too much bulk to waste. Now I'm going to try the iron on method. I have been watching a lot of furniture flip videos and recently watched Brandy from the DIY Struggles video, and they were doing the iron on method, and I was like, you know what, let me try it with liquid patina. Tried it with Mod Podge. So I did 2 layers of liquid patina. Then I laid my decoupage paper right over it after it dried. So this is dried liquid patina. Then I put a Teflon sheet over it. You could also use like butcher paper or like maybe like a tea towel. And I am using my mini heat press from Cricut, but you can use a household iron as well. And I have it on the high heat setting and I am using pressure. I will check the decoupage paper to make sure that it is adhering to the tag, and voila, it attached perfectly. Now I follow that all the way up, and you guys, this was like the smoothest application of decoupage paper I have ever seen. But I do have to ask, as I was watching videos, especially the furniture flipping, the lady had mentioned that applying the liquid patina back over the decoupage paper kind of reactivates it and creates bubbles. I use Clear Matte by Rust-Oleum spray because that's what they suggested, and I still got bubbles. So let me know if there's like a right way to apply the top coat. So this is after I did 2 light mists of the Clear Matte, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna risk it. I put the Teflon sheet back over. I used light heat, and I wasn't sure, sorry you guys, if the Teflon sheet was going to stick to that paper because I obviously have the clear on top of it at this point, and it did it, and it smoothed everything back out. It looked gorgeous. I needed something on like that top right portion. It was just like too blank for me. So I just cut some strips of fabric. I wish they were a little longer, but they were like the rolled up like Dollar Tree pieces of fabric. So the length could only go so far, but I made it work. So I just wrapped it around my finger. I'm going to go ahead, or sorry, my hand, and I'm going to go ahead and get another piece of fabric and tie that off in the middle. I loved using the like burnt orange one because it brought that out in the feathers of the birds. And then I am going to just hot glue that up on the top right. I also wanted to use some molds, something in the beginning. So after what felt like an hour of deciding what molds I wanted to use, I broke it down to 2. I'm going to paint them both with 2 coats of weathered wood. After those completely dried, I did clear them with clear wax, and then I'm going to apply the gilded gold wax. I do have all of these products in stock on my website right now, and that link is in the description box for you. So I decided on the bird. I mean, how could I not, right? So I'm just going to glue that to the center of that bow. And then instead of putting the twine back on it, I decided to take it up a notch and do a piece of fabric instead. And this completely took this Dollar Tree tag to a whole nother level, you guys. This decoupage paper is absolutely gorgeous. The details in here are stunning. And I love that it's not like super springy. You know what I'm saying? Like pastels and stuff. It's just right. Look at all of that. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. Highly recommend getting these big tags because they are great for getting a lot of the image on your surface. So this first one, I just want to note that this might seem a little redundant for those of you that watched last week's video because I made multiples of the same thing in hopes of showing you different ways of using them, I guess, or decorating them in a sense. So if you haven't watched last week's video, I will link it down in the description box, but we're just going to go for it. So I made another one of these boxes. It is smaller in size. Initially, I thought that I was going to put it like on a candlestick and use it as a riser that way, but it ended up being a little too large. So there's my backstory. So we're going to use gravel road on this one. And y'all, this might seem like it is not doing full coverage for me on this piece of wood, but the DIY colors are clay based and they dry down lighter. So you'll see right here that as I'm drying it down, it is definitely full coverage. I love it. I'm going to paint the bottom of the box and then the inside and the top of the rim in gravel road. The outer part of the box, we are going to decoupage. So I'm going to use this beautiful decoupage paper. I do have it in stock. And I'm going to do what I usually do. I'm going to lay this down on top of the box. I'm going to push it down around so that I get an outline of where to cut. If I could not waste more paper, that is my goal. So you'll see as I turn it around, the line right there, I just cut a little above that line, and that way I'm not wasting any of my paper. I'm going to grab my liquid patina, and if y'all haven't tried this decoupage medium, you are missing out. It's just so much smoother than Mod Podge, and it's thinner, so you're going to have less bubbles, less wrinkles. It's amazing. And you guys, ever since I started using this plastic wrap hack, I will never go back. Ever, never. So as you saw, I laid the liquid patina down. Then I applied my decoupage paper, smoothed it out with our plastic wrap, and then I will continue that same process on to the next side. I also found that while I was drying down the paper, using that plastic wrap to smooth out any wrinkles while drying worked fabulously. I'm going to do this all the way around. And as I go on each side, I'm going to use my finger sander and I am going to sand in downward motions. Make sure it is thoroughly dry or you are going to rip that beautiful decoupage paper, which we don't want to do. Now, taking that liquid patina, I'm going to seal all around our paper. And I am also going to use it to seal our paint. Now, I don't know why I don't reach for this more as a sealer because it's a matte sealer. So Big Top is going to give you a little bit of a sheen, and liquid patina is going to give you your matte color. So if you're not like a wax fan and you still want the matte look, liquid patina is going to be your go-to. Once that's completely dry, I'm going to get this piece of hardware. This is a pool, and I got it from Hobby Lobby. And I always wait until they're 50%. So this one was actually $5. And I found these little screws in my stash because for whatever reason, the holes on this thing were tiny. And I am just going to screw those in by hand. And I love how rustic this box turned out. And I didn't put any legs on it. I thought the hardware and the decoupage paper did it justice. So if you guys want to see how I built this box, again, that's in last week's video. I just show you how to do it on a bigger scale, but I love the way this
I am going to take this pretty little piece. It was $7.99 and 50% off. It is made in China. It is not real silver or any of that. So I love the detail around the edges, and that's really what the standout is going to be because we're going to cover the inside. And I'm not going to paint the back. I don't think it's necessary. I will obviously clean it, but We are going to use aviary for the outside, and then I'm going to go in with the pressed flowers decoupage paper for the inside of this. So let's get started with this upcycle. We're going to start off by getting that aviary, and I'm just going to paint the outside rim of this tray. And let me tell you, you guys, I left my paintbrushes in the water for probably like a week and finally decided I needed to wash them. So all my chippy brushes were wet and drying. So I used one of these like synthetic brushes, and let me tell you, doing details with the chippy brush is so much easier. So I'm going to do 2 coats of aviary around the entire tray, and you'll see why we're not painting the middle. And then since DIY paints are water soluble, you can easily wipe off any extra paint, which is what I am doing on our gold handles. I love the mixed metal, so I am going to distress this down with my baby wipe on all of the beautiful roses that are around my tray. Excuse me, you guys. And then we are going to then paint the middle white. So we're going to use that decoupage paper, and you don't have to do this. However, decoupage paper is thin, so whatever you put under it is going to show. So if you put a darker paint, your paper is going to look darker. If you put lighter, like I am, your image is going to pop more, and you'll see that at the end when I show you the reveal. So I'm going to do 2 coats of white swan in the middle so that our paper pops. I'm going to lay that decoupage paper over the tray, and then with my finger I'm going to press down so that I get an outline on the back of it as to where I need to cut my excess paper. I sound like I'm going through puberty. My voice keeps cutting in and out. I'm going to take this makeup brush. It's just an old makeup brush. Dip it into some water, and then this way I could easily just pull all that excess paper away. I prefer to do it this way because I know if I were to go in with scissors and try to get this like precise cut, I think it would look more janky than just having this ripped paper around the edges, and it seems more like thoughtful in the process. Now we're going to take our liquid patina. This is a decoupage medium, and you can use it to seal your projects. I'm going to put a coat on the bottom, and then I'm going to use my plastic wrap to push and smooth down that decoupage paper. I am going to repeat this process all the way down the middle of the tray, and then I'm going to put a coat on top of my paper to seal my paper, and then I'm also going to use the liquid patina to seal in my paint as well. And then this will dry down matte. Next, I'm not going to show you all of these, you guys, but I just took random resin mold pieces that I had in my drawer, and I'm going to paint them all up into coordinating colors that go with the decoupage paper. And I'm going to take these magnets that I get at Dollar Tree. Be mindful, they do have a small one and like a medium size one. I'm using the small one for all of these. I'll hot glue those to the back, and then that way I could put it on my little memo board, and whomever buys it will get these magnets along with them. And you guys, this turned out so cute. For being $4, we completely transformed this tray. I think it looks gorgeous with the mixed metals, this decoupage paper, which is pressed flowers, and I just I ended up attaching a sawtooth hanger to the back with some glue, but this turned out great. And if you guys could see that darker paint around the edges? Yeah. Now we're gonna take this, it's a Lazy Susan, but it's like made out of MDF or something, and it doesn't turn very easily anymore, but you know what? We're getting it out of the stash. So I'm gonna clean it off, and then I'm going to take white linen from JRV Cottage Colors, and I'm gonna paint the top of it, and I'm gonna leave the base of it this
fake wood color. Since this is MDF, I wanted to make sure that I put 2 coats on it so that the MDF absorbed the paint and not my liquid patina. And I also painted it white so that my decoupage paper pops a little bit more. I'm going to take the Roycycled Industrial Masterboard paper. I do carry this on my website, which is linked in the description box. And as I do with my decoupage paper, I put it on top, and then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to press into that outer edge so I know where to remove that excess paper. I'm then going to grab a paintbrush, dip it in some water, and you can see the outline of our circle. I'm actually going to go a little outside the crease that I created just to leave myself a little bit of give in case, I need some there. So I'm going to remove the excess paper. We're going to go ahead and flip that on around, and we are going to start our decoupage process. So taking my favorite decoupage medium, liquid patina, I am at the bottom of the barrel on that one. I'm going to put some down on to the board, and then I am going to take my plastic wrap and smooth that down. I'm going to follow this all the way down to the bottom of our Lazy Susan. I do encounter a few bubbles, so I'm just going to take this little poker and push the air right out of there to smooth that out. Once your paper is completely dry, then you're going to seal it. Now, I decided I put 2 coats of liquid patina on here now, and then we're going to put another one at the very end. So I am going to let this completely dry, and then I'm going to vent with you guys for just a moment. We are going to take the trimmings mold out, dust it with cornstarch, get the DOS air dry clay for this. But I think sometimes people look at our projects or upcycles and they're like, oh, how cute, that's so cute. And they do not realize how much time it truly takes to create these pieces, because I am not a master clay user, and this took me an hour, you guys, an hour to make each one of these trimming molds. I had to make 4 total, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this took me an hour to do. Maybe one day I'll be like Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. I'm sure she can like bust out molds so quickly because she does them all the time, but not me, not this girl. It took me an hour to make 4 of these, okay? But anywho, my rant is over. And once I get that good in my mold, I'm going to flip it on over and then just peel back the mold. I'm going to take my Type Bond wood glue, put it on the back, and then I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to make sure that that glue covers the entire surface because I want to make sure all of it adheres to the rim. I'm going to flip it on over, and then with my fingers, I am going to push down on each of the sides. So you can see how I have one finger on the top and the bottom, and I'm forming it around the curve of that trim. I'm not pressing very hard. I don't want to lose the details in that mold, but I do want it to form. So I'm going to continue this for 3 more times. Then I'm going to take out my paint swatches here. And I thought Fancy Farm Girl was going to be the pick, but I just had to make sure. And sure enough, Fancy Farm Girl matched the greenery on this so very well. So because I love and appreciate you guys so very much, I am not going to put you through the torture of watching me do this entire tray because it took forever. Okay? But I only had to do 1 coat, and getting in all those details took some time.
You guys, here I go again, shutting off my phone and then forgetting to tape process. So I took liquid patina and I sealed the Fancy Farm Girl and then just did like another coat over the paper just for added security. And now to bring all of those beautiful details back out of this mold, I'm going to use black wax. I do want to note that when using molds, I did try and butt them up as close as I could, but as your clay dries, it is going to shrink a little. So you'll see, I mean, it actually didn't do that bad, but like right there, that was a seam. I mean, like looking that way, it's not bad. That was another seam. Here's another one. So you could just kind of see it's going to separate a little bit. So you want to try your best to butt them up as much as you can without pushing out the details. So now we're going to wax.
So like I said, we're finishing it off with this black wax. And y'all, if you have not had DIY wax in your stash yet, you are missing out. The wax is so buttery smooth. It's so easy to apply and use, and you need it in your stash if you are a user of waxes. I chose to use the black wax for this. I'm just using a Dollar Tree little paintbrush, and I am brushing it on, but you also see me almost like stippling it, pushing it in there. And that is because I want that wax to sit in the details, and then I want to be able to wipe all of the excess off because we want to bring out all of those details. And this turned out so beautiful. I can't wait for you to see it here. Gorga. The green is a little brighter in person. And the details, you could see them with that black wax, how they completely popped. I love this paper because there's so many different elements in it, and so I love the green in it as well. And because we're fancy, let's go ahead and add a gold clock to this little display. Yes, ma'am. I love it. Let me know. All right. I'm going to grab, this is JRV Cottage Color in white linen. And I am going to just do one coat over the entire piece because we're going to use decoupage paper. And then I'm going to do the ticking stripes in red decoupage paper. I just said that. And all of the products, you guys, on today's video can be found on my website. So I'm going to go in with our liquid patina. And I like doing mine in sections. So I'm going to put a layer on, and then I'm going to fold that decoupage paper back over onto our liquid patina, grab my plastic wrap, and I'll never go back. Let me tell you, I was 38 years old when I figured this out, but I love it. So beforehand, if you guys have watched my videos, I used to do the liquid patina and then lay the decoupage paper down and then kind of push it down with the remaining liquid on my brush. But now that I use the plastic wrap, I do not do that, and it turns out so beautiful, you guys. So we're going to continue that all the way down. After it dries, I did sand off the edges of that decoupage paper, and now we're going to grab our beautiful mercantile stamp. So make sure, again, that you're priming your stamps before using them. And I totally forgot, as I showed you guys the masks in the beginning, to utilize them here. I'm not used to it yet, okay? I got to get used to this fanciness. So I am just going to lay out my stamp, get a vibe of where I want my placement to be. So like this is a piece, you guys, I feel like you could use for so many things. So after playing around for what was probably an hour, I finally found my placement. I used my stamp mount, and then I'm going to apply IOD's black ink to our piece. And I'm going to flip that on over again, using like the grids in that stamping mount to help me find exactly where my placement's supposed to go. Look at that already, you guys. Even just the black ink on it. Oh, it's so fabulous. So we're going to push that down. Do it with your other hand. Ooh, girl, I'm a mess. Okay, look at that. Is that not beautiful? But if you know anything about me, I can't stop. Okay, we got to add more. So I am taking these molds. I think they're from the Classic Elements mold. I think I do have it in stock, and I'm going to paint them with layered chocolate. Once that layered chocolate is completely dry, I'm going to top them with Big Top. And I'm doing this because we're going to add a couple more layers, and I do not want that layered chocolate to come off of my resin mold. So we wait for that to dry, and then I'm going to come in with pennies from heaven. Y'all, I always do too much. I'm like guacamole, I'm extra, okay? And I'm just going to put this on sporadically. Like some pieces are going to have a heavier coat, some are going to have a lighter coat. I wanted them to be unique and different. After the pennies from heaven, after we get our little copper look going, I'm then going to go in with the shipwrecked wax. And I am going to put this again sporadically on here. I want this to look like aged copper, patinaed copper. So I put my wax on there first, and then I go back over it with the paintbrush. I wipe the paintbrush completely off, and then I kind of like buff it in, like push it in so that it looks more spread out and not so like pop of color in your face, I guess. After I'm done with those, I'm going to take liquid patina once again, and I'm going to seal our decoupage paper, and I like to seal the ink. Even if it's permanent, I like to seal it. I'm going to grab our little molds, and these reminded me of the tin tiles that you would see on the ceiling, and that's what started the whole I need more, I need accessories. And of course, I couldn't stop after that either. So I grabbed layered chocolate once again, and I started going around the sign, making it look like the rust is eating through this old sign that's on this old retail grocery store somewhere. And so you'll see I kind of carry it over, and then I'll carry it up and then back down, making like almost little mountains. And you'll see it gives it that illusion that rust is kind of eating through that old sign. And then of course I had to dry it and then like make sure that that's exactly what I wanted. You guys, like I could go back after that. Okay, so I am going to carry this around the entire sign. At first, once I got to this spot, I was like, man, should I have just kept the rust paint around the, like quote unquote, like little tiles or not? But in the end, I think it worked out. So after I went around the entire sign, I grabbed some more of the shipwrecked wax and just kind of feathered that in. And this is our farmhouse sign. I love the way it came out. And like I said, I think that you're going to utilize this stamp for so much more than farmhouse decor because there are so many elements in here. But this one turned out gorgeous, and just the details are absolutely crazy. So here you guys are.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for spending your time with me. Make sure to head to the description box or the comments to download the June's Journey app. Oh, stretch it out, girlfriend. Stretch it out. Oh. Just got out of the car seat. Hi. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. I love you, sweet girl. I love you. Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fans one day. Yes, you are. So many people that were rooting for you.